Well, if we're gonna find any ghosts, we better split up.
You're listening to Never Split Up, a horror movie podcast.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Never Split Up podcast. This is episode 79, if I'm correct. 79. Today, we are covering a very special movie. It is 28 Days Later, released in 2002. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Anthony. What's going on, Ant?
How's it going? I'm excited to talk about this movie.
Yes, super excited. It's one of those movies where it's like, as soon as we started this podcast, it was like one of the movies that I've been dying to cover. Such a comfort film for me. And we recently had a new guest on the podcast around Valentine's Day. Her name is Oriana Nichelle, and she joins the podcast again because I know this movie is near and dear to her heart, and she wanted to cover this franchise. What's up, Ori? How you doing?
I'm good. I am so stoked. This is definitely one of my top comfort films. That just something about it, all of the rage zombies just warms my heart, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Yes, rage zombies. I like the way you put that. I am a fan of these infected rage zombies. I'm sure you are too. And where do you fall on your zombie spectrum? Do you like the slow, methodical zombies? Or you like the rage zombies?
I like the fast ones. They freak me out.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
The fast ones are like Night of the Living Dead, or like I'm like, okay, I got this.
Yeah.
But like the fast ones, like in World War Z, that like those type of zombies, I'm just like,
good
nope.
movie. Yeah.
Yep, surprisingly, I was just, it's one of those that I'm like, I'll rewatch it.
Yeah, I like that movie. It's fun.
I feel like especially nowadays that the zombie subgenre is so oversaturated, we need those faster moving zombies because we're so used to the slow zombies where it's like, okay, we know like how to kill these guys, so these characters are acting dumb right now. So I agree. Yeah, I love when we get the fast moving zombies. World War Z was definitely a surprise. I liked it too.
It was that the zombies just like climbing on top of each other to get up the wall. That scene, I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
It was good.
As I mentioned before, Ori, you were on for The Loved Ones, and thanks everyone for listening to that episode. If you didn't listen to that episode, go check it out. We introduce Ori to the podcast. She talks about kind of what got her into horror and everything, so you can check that out. I guess we'll just get right to it.
Yeah.
Talk 28 Days Later. So we'll start with you, Oriana. What got you into, I guess, the zombie subgenre? How do you feel about that subgenre? And when did you first watch 28 Days Later and this franchise?
So I watched it, I believe, when it came out in theaters. Zombies are the one thing in horror that actually freak me out. I can do possession, I can do like cult, that in real life scenarios, but zombies were always that like virus, the infected, always just kind of got under my skin. And when it was fast zombies, like in 28 Days Later, like that's what freaked me out. It was like, okay, how would I handle this? Because it's like they're just very aggressive. And so, and I love the way that this film is just shot. It's shot just in a way where it builds intensity and it doesn't give you a break. And I don't know. This one is one of those, even rewatching it, I'm still like, oh my gosh. And I know what's happening. It's a great film.
That's cool. No, that's refreshing to hear that about the zombie subgenre. I feel like I don't hear that very often, that it's like scary for you, unlike other subgenres. Usually people talk about, like you said, paranormal and stuff. So it's cool that zombies is what kind of triggers you, your fight or flight, if you will.
Yeah, it's just like I get these, like, I don't know if it's an irrational fear, but I'm just like, what if it, like when 2020 happened, I was like, this is it. This is where it happens. And I'm like, all right, we need to double tap always. But yeah, no, zombies are my thing.
I didn't see this in theaters, but I pretty much grew up on this movie. My brother had the DVD, my older brother, so this movie was always on in our house. It was always on, like when it was on cable, It was on like a random cable channel. I would always turn it on and just kind of casually watch it. Something about the vibe, like you said, the way it was shot, that just pulled me in as a kid and just made me want to rewatch it all the time. So I rewatched this a ton. I'm really glad we're covering this because this is a movie that I haven't seen in a little while now. It's been quite a few years. I want to say at least 4 or 5 years since I've revisited this movie. So it was cool to kind of take a break from it from a while and kind of come back and look at it from a different lens now that we're doing the podcast. So this was definitely an interesting rewatch. What about you, Ant? What's your history with this movie?
I saw it when it came out, but not in theaters. I think right when it came out on like home video. I watched it for the first time, and I do have the DVD, which is out of print now, so I'm happy there's a new movie coming out. That's the good thing about sequels, because now they're going to do a 4K release, so that's always good when they bring it back. But yeah, I remember the first time I saw it, just has, like you guys said, it's special because it's a build-up, and even Danny Boyle says he doesn't look at it like a zombie movie, it's more of like an infected, so it has that more, the realism to this one. And that's what got under my skin a lot. It feels like actually what a pandemic would be. When you go back and rewatch it after 2020, it feels like what it would happen if there was an actual outbreak. So I appreciate because it felt like you're almost watching something really happening. And the way it's filmed too, feels like a documentary. That's why it's so, special because of how it's filmed as well. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I read or heard somewhere that Danny Boyle actually used like Ebola and different like infections to kind of design the zombies and how they would react, or not really zombies, but the infected, because he didn't want to make another like slow moving zombie film. He wanted to do something different, which is why I think this film was so successful, because it's like it's something brand new and it really brings in an intensity that like Night of the Living Dead, I'm sure at the time was kind of like intense, but like when you go back to rewatch it, you're like, okay, it's a nice classic. But this is one of those that still builds intensity, for at least for me.
Yeah, and in the coming years, there have been other kind of offshoot zombie movies similar to this, where it's like infected but not zombie, and they move fast. But I think this movie still holds up in terms of its realism, and I think it's the most realistic scenario that I've seen still to this day. This could very well happen. I mean, it pretty much happened, like you said, Ori, with COVID. I mean, there was a leak somewhere overseas, and then it just spread like wildfire. So this is pretty much the same scenario, only it affects humans in a way that they're not dead. They still have thought, and we see that in the sequel more, how they kind of are still, like their brain is still functioning, but they're just kind of rabid and they just go crazy. So yeah, it's super realistic, and maybe that's why it kind of like sucked me in as a kid so much, because it was like, this could happen at any time. And like you said, with Ebola and stuff, I mean, there's always different like strains that are coming out every so often. I mean, COVID was the biggest example, but there's always been that fear of infection and pandemics. So there's no surprise that this movie had so much success and has such a huge following to this day.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those. I'm excited for the newest one. I want to see how everything. I'm just like, it's been a while.
So the new one's coming out in a few months. We are going to cover this movie, and we'd love to have you back on for 28 weeks later. I think that's the plan. So we'll cover that, and then we'll get ready for the new movie. I'm super excited for that, and it's one of the bigger releases. We got a busy summer for new releases coming up. And Anthony, before we get into this movie, do you want to make the announcement of what we're doing the next several weeks?
Yeah, for sure. So after we release this episode, we're going to move into one of my favorite franchises, Final Destination. And we're going to actually do a first time, experiment on the channel. We're going to cover the original, and then each sequel we're going to cover leading up to the release. So we're going to bang out the whole franchise back to back, week to week, leading up to Final Destination Bloodlines, and see how that goes. So get ready, get your rewatches in for the franchise. I'm so amped. You guys know it's in my top 5 favorite horror franchises, so I cannot wait to tackle that with you. And I cannot wait for the new movie. That's my number 2 most anticipated of the year, so I'm so amped.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'd love to cover the new movie once we see it in theaters.
Oh, yeah.
And do an episode on that, and then we can do maybe like a franchise ranking. That would be a lot of fun.
Oh, we will.
So, yeah, we're going to be pretty busy the next several weeks. We're going to be releasing weekly episodes for the next 5 or 6 weeks, so look out for those. Okay, let's dive right in then. 28 Days Later, released in 2002. Ant, you want to kick things off and kind of give your
Yeah, I
overall
got you.
thoughts?
Yeah, so I'll just give you guys a quick synopsis just for everyone who's watching. 4 weeks after a mysterious incurable virus spreads throughout the United Kingdom, a handful of survivors try to find sanctuary. It was directed by the awesome Danny Boyle, written by Alex Garland, and it stars our guy Cillian Murphy, Naomi Harris, and Brendan Gleeson. My overall thoughts are how much. I wonder how much this made. It was made for only $8 million, and it made $85 million worldwide. So it was good for a smaller movie. I adore this movie. I think that aesthetically and filmmaking wise, that's what makes it so unique apart from all the other zombie movies. And I like how it's fast and the way they turn and twitch. It's not like your typical, we're coming to get you, Barbara. It's a lot. It's different and it's scary because they're just infected and you don't want to mess with that shit. I think Cillian Murphy obviously is awesome in this movie. You're immediately attached to his character. I really love Naomi Harris too. I hope they're like hiding her, and I hope she comes back in one of the sequels because I feel like she's an underrated female horror character. But Danny Boyle knocks it out of the park. It's so different. I don't want to talk about the sequel too much, but I feel like this one to me, I appreciate and love because of how real it feels and how it also blends. I mean, one of my favorite scenes in the movie has something to do with a father and daughter, and it's just so heartbreaking. I love how it blends the realism and heartbreak, and it's so serious and messed up, and it builds the whole movie. It doesn't blow its load too early. It just builds. Whereas the sequel, I feel like that's the more which I love too. I know people hate on it, but it's the more entertaining, fun one that I go to. This one's just the more dark, gritty survivalist movie, where the second one I'm like, fuck yeah, let's watch this bloody mess. So I do think the opening scene in the second one though takes the cake compared to this one. But I adore it. I watch it all the time. I love how it's so different from the original two are so different from each other. And I can't wait to get into it because I haven't seen it in a few years and I rewatched it. I'm like, yeah, this movie fucks still. It's good. It's not my favorite, outbreak zombie movie, but it's just so special because it feels so small and contained, but it's so big at the same time. So it's the most realistic one in my opinion, like you guys said. So that's what makes it so special for me. So yeah, I'm super positive on this one. If you guys haven't watched it, make sure you check it out for the new one. I cannot wait to see what they do. Yeah, I'm all in on this movie. I love it. I adored it the first time I saw it, and ever since I go back to it every couple years. I'm like, yeah, this is good. This is awesome.
Okay, so it's a recommend from Ant.
Yes.
Or you wanna give us just your overall thoughts?
Yeah, I know. I love this one. I've loved it from my first watch. It makes me feel, like I say, like it makes me feel like so nervous watching it. And you do get those little moments of them like in the grocery store and they're having their little getting their hauls and things. And then the like on the grass and like that little moment. And then you get hit again. And it's just one of those you just can never just settle and relax in it. You are just waiting for the next time. Like even when it's peaceful, you feel like it's not going to be peaceful. And for me, like the opening shot with, without getting like too into it, is like starts off with like how the virus starts, and then you just hit into this like you follow one person, and then just like waking up into this like deserted world, and it's just yeah, it's the one that is the most realistic for me, and that's why I love it so much, because I love horror movies that feel like that make me afraid because of how realistic they are.
Okay, great. So recommend from you,
Yeah.
obviously.
Are we 3 for 3
yeah.
here?
Yeah, it's gonna be a 3 for 3. I definitely recommend this movie. Like you guys said, it's uneasy, but you said, Ant, the sequel is more action packed, so it doesn't need that constant action to make you feel uneasy. Right. And I think that's a credit to the writers and especially the directing and of course the cast, and all the crew involved. The way this movie was made was so brilliant. You guys touched on it. There are these quick hits of characters interacting with one another, and you get like these sincere moments, and then you're thrown right back into the apocalypse and the infected, and then you get like another quick hit. So it's paced beautifully like that. They don't have any like long drawn out sequences where you're waiting for something to happen. There's always something like on the horizon, and that's kind of simulating the feel of what it would be like to be in this infected world where there's always something waiting for you. So I think this movie does a brilliant job of that because there isn't a lot of action. I mean,
Right.
when you think about the amount of people they actually kill in this film, obviously the ending goes a little there, like with the military guys. They like mow down some guys. But before that, we really don't get a whole lot of like action-packed sequences. The scene that comes to mind is the tunnel scene where there's like a herd of infected,
It's
but
so good.
they run. I mean, they don't stand and fight. So that just plays into the realism. These are real people. They're not like these action heroes. They're just like thrust into this world. And, you know, Jim, who's played by Cillian Murphy, he's brand new to this world because he was in a hospital the whole time. And you have these different layers of people like Frank and Hannah and like Selena who have been surviving for the past 28 days, but they're still just figuring it out too. So it's beautifully made. It's, if you're looking for like an action-packed zombie movie, this isn't it, but it's definitely going to keep you on your toes. And it's paced so well. It's, I believe, almost 2 hours long. It's a little over an hour and 50 minutes, the runtime, but it doesn't feel like that, at least for me, at all. It's a really, really solid movie, and I definitely recommend it. Okay,
It
3
just
for
feels
3.
like you're on a journey with them in this, like, the time to get to where, well, we'll talk about it, the safe space.
And it's
Yeah, and I also
character-driven.
love how this scope it continues to increase. Like, we start with our main character, Jim, and then he's introduced to a couple characters, and then we're introduced to a couple more characters, and then we see that there's a outpost. I mean, it just keeps building and building, and then the ending. I mean, we'll get to the ending, but it's
so good.
possibly an all-timer ending for me. Yeah. Okay, so you touched on it, Ori, I believe, the opening. Let's dive into the opening. And I know you're on one side of the fence on this. I think we all are. We're all animal lovers.
I know.
It's just so it tears at you because it's like you want to root for the activists, but you know they're in the wrong. And oh man, it's so heartbreaking. Oh.
You're just like watching this, you're like, I get you, but you do not understand what you're about to do.
Yeah, you're
just like, you're just like,
and you
stop
wish you
now.
can tell them this might be a never split up moment, our first one right off the bat. You want to just scream like, listen to the scientists, just put them out of their misery. Don't let them go. You know, it's better because they're not going to survive in the wild anyway. They're freaking hamsters in this lab. So just, I know.
I know my heart is like on their side, but my brain's like, no, you're doing the wrong thing. Yeah. But it's a perfect way to start the movie because of how rabid it goes. Like the camera techniques and everything, it sets the stage for what's to come. So it's a very, very good opening. I really enjoy it.
I enjoy it too. It sets the stage. It sets the intensity for the rest of the movie. Like I said, the pacing is so good in this movie, and the pacing in this opening is really well done. It's quick. It doesn't linger too much. It gives you enough information to set the table for everything to come. So yeah, I think it's really, really intense and really good.
It's just like, even in the opening, you get these scenes of like these violent scenes in the beginning. So that already sets the tone. And then you get the monkeys, and then you get like the screens, and he's just like hooked up, just watching these monitors of all of these violent actions. And it's sort of like, all right.
And it feels like real violence. It doesn't feel like, which I love, it doesn't feel like horror movie violence, which I love. I love the over the top, but it feels very real, which sets the stage. None of us mentioned it, but the music in this fucking movie by John Murphy. I mean, he's awesome at the music. To me, just also is what makes the movie. It's so impactful and so good. So I had to shout that out.
I was going to bring that up as soon as we get to our opening sequence with Jim.
Yeah.
I mean, the score when he's walking the city and the ruins, it just keeps building and building. It's so good, and it's so impactful right off the bat. It really, really. There's scores that are brilliant because they're just in the background, and then there's scores that are able to kind of come to the forefront and not take away from the movie, but still have an impact, which I think is so much harder to do. And he just nails it with his score. It's so good.
Yeah, I haven't watched this movie in a few years, and like the score, I can like imagine it in my head all the time. So that's how I know it's
got that
tier.
distinct style to it that hasn't been replicated. It's so unique. It's great. It's got that like rock edge to it, and you know, that grungy feel. It's so good. Yeah.
I just love when it's how when as Jim's walking and he's just like kind of looking for everyone and how like the score is just kind of going with him, and then once he's starting to figure out and find everything, it's just
Yeah.
building and it hits you with the like it was just a beautifully done opening.
It's the dialogue of that scene, and by the
Mhm.
time shit hits the fan towards the end of that sequence, the score is now blasting and it's like in your face. So it's like almost replicating what's going on in Jim's mind, like you were saying. It's like how
Right.
it's just kind of taking over. It's so well done.
And it's so smart to like live through Jim in the opening because we're introduced to this world like just as he is. Like he's like, what the fuck? We're not like following a character who's like in it already. So he's kind of like the streets are empty. What's going on? So I think that was very smart for Danny Boyle and Alex Garland to like throw us into his perspective because we're in the same perspective. Like, what are we getting into? It's so smart.
And it's so smart that we got nothing. So we got the opening scene. We didn't get, like, that was technically day zero, but we didn't get any, like, because, you know, another movie might have maybe given us, like, flashes of what happened during the opening credits, and they could have had, like, a long opening credit scene, and we could have seen, like, what happened for 28 days. But no, they throw you right in, and you're totally blind to what's about to happen, just like Jim. So, yeah, it's really well done.
I love it too because you don't know exactly what happened. So when
Mhm.
he's walking around, even though you don't know what happened, you're still uneasy for him because you're like, well, where is everyone? There's obviously a reason everyone is gone. What is he about to run into? But I like that they have it like drawn out as he's finding out because for me watching that opening scene, I get like anxious for him. Like when is he about to run into someone like infected or something bad? But it just builds, and then he discovers like everyone's gone, there's been
Right.
this like massive infection, and then it's just like then we get actually introduced with like the church scene.
It's
Yeah, I
so
mean,
smart
Or
because,
something.
yeah.
you're half expecting like rabid monkeys to come out of nowhere. And, like they're the reason, you know,
From the
Something.
like
open,
they
yeah.
took over like Planet of the Apes. You don't know, yeah.
It's just so smart because you immediately put yourself in his shoes. Like, what would you do if you walked out to nothing? And then he sees like the little newspaper clipping about the evacuation and the church scene. I love like the bloody aftermath of that massacre. It's just
Yeah.
like, whoa, you're thrown in. You're like,
I
what would I do?
real quick, I also love how Jim immediately starts grabbing money and putting
Yeah,
it in
I
his
was just gonna
mag.
I mean,
say
come on.
that.
And then he goes to the church. Like, is that not so symbolic of like society is like, you know, a
You're
belief system and also being greedy? I mean, that was just so fucking funny to me.
Yeah. He was like, oh my god, he was just stuffing it in his little bag and he's like, all right, now I gotta go say hi to God.
It's so funny, especially on a rewatch when you know like what the world is. You know, seeing him do that.
You're like, man, it's you're wasting your time. It's a fire starter at this point.
But yeah, the cinematography too, all these
It's
cool
so
zoom
good.
out shots, landscape shots of the city, so
Mhm.
good,
And
so
it
good.
benefits it that it's filmed like a documentary style because it makes you feel like, again, we're gonna theme of the movie is realism, but that really benefits this OG. And I do appreciate the sequel does the complete opposite. I will say, I know people, but it's very special. This one,
I feel like if they were to try to replicate that in 28 weeks, I feel like it just wouldn't work the same.
yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And just for context, 28 years later is going. Obviously, Danny Boyle's directing again, and Alex Garland's writing again. So I feel like we might get more of the tone of this one for at least the first one. I know they have another sequel already filmed, so but that's good to know.
Mhm.
I know there's Nia DaCosta is doing the new one after the one that comes out this year, so maybe we'll do a nice same thing like they did with these two. You know, go back to the OG and then go crazy.
Yeah. So was there three announced? Or
There's
even, like,
two.
one?
I was crazy. I
It's
was
just
like,
Yeah,
two.
there's
I was like, they're fucking crazy because I just looked. I'm like, how is the budget $75 million? That's crazy. But no, I guess they filmed them
Between
both
the
back
two.
to back. So between the two, it's 75
Mhm.
million. So
Still though,
one
I mean,
comes out.
that's
I know. Yeah,
40 million a piece. I mean, that's
yeah.
big
One comes
money.
out this year and one comes out next year.
Next year,
You know.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but then I'm like, okay. But I saw that. I'm like, holy shit, they really have. I'm like, but no, they split it back to back, which is smart. But
So
yeah, so I feel like
everyone's
they get the
been
vibe.
raving
Yeah.
about like the new trailer. I have not watched the trailer.
I only
Oh.
watched
I
the first
refuse to
trailer.
watch it.
The first one with the first one's like a masterpiece in of itself.
Yeah.
It's so
I've heard.
good.
Yeah, I've heard. I've seen like images and stills.
It doesn't spoil like if you
But-
want to watch the first teaser one,
No.
it doesn't like give anything away.
Yeah.
It'll get you like I got chills. I got chill bumps. Yeah.
The goosebumps. I got goosebumps of like the bones. The bones.
It's so
like
good. It's so good.
What is it? Like a stat? Like it's not bone statue, but the bone tower.
Because I
That
think
like one shot.
what is it called? Is it called just forget the
think it's-
subtitle of these, but I can't remember.
Oh,
But
there's
yeah,
like a subheading for
I
this?
think the one coming out next year is like the Bone Temple.
Bone-
Like, but
Yeah,
I think
Bone
this one
Temple
this
is
year
the
might
same.
just be 28 years later.
20
Okay,
Mhm.
gotcha. Speaking of bone chilling, this church scene when we get Jim again. I hate to say it, but another never split up moment. Is this like, hello? Like he's calling out.
Yelling.
Clearly there was a massacre. So if anyone's alive, it's probably not the person you want to reach out to. So I don't know what Jim's doing, but this shot of when the two infected guys look towards Jim, the one dude's face will forever be ingrained in my mind since a kid. It scared the shit out of me.
He was just
when
like,
he turns and just stares at him. Oh my gosh, I could see it in my head right now.
mm-hmm. That was just, you're like, what did you just do, dude? Like, what did you? And you're like, well, here we go.
Yeah.
and then he introduced to the priest. Oh,
Yeah.
that was intense for me.
Yeah, he does good though. Jim holds his own and he hits him. And I know he
Smacks
regrets
him
it.
with
He's like,
his
"Oh,
money."
I shouldn't have done that." Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have done that. I'm like, bro, it's all right.
Yeah.
So,
Say your Hail Marys. And
Right.
what did you think, Anne, of this whole sequence? You
Oh, I
liked it?
adored it. And it's so
Yeah.
because people always say like I would never do that. These horror movies are dumb, but it's like this one feels so real and you're still yelling at the screen. It's like people do crazy things in heightened situations. So I never buy that like argument
Yeah.
where like I would never do that in a movie. You've never been in a situation where someone's chasing you or trying to kill you or whatever. So it's like that argument. It's like I know we do the never split up moments, but it's like these people are in some pretty crazy situations. So I give them some slack, but it feels so real and you're still yelling at the screen like, "What are you doing?" because you care so much. So I think it's played out well, very well.
Yeah. Agreed.
And I love my Selena, so he meets her. She rescues him.
Yes. So
I love the fucking scene of Selena and Mark when she doesn't give a shit when she hacks. Once he's like, she thinks he's a bitch. She's like, "Fuck you, hack." I'm like, that's one of my favorite scenes of the whole entire movie. I'm like, she's doesn't fuck around.
no, she's who I want in the apocalypse because I never have to worry about her not double tapping because she's like, "Oh, you got bit. You're done."
That scene, the first time I saw it, I was like, I had like a smile from like ear. I'm like, oh, she does not mess around, and I love her.
She's such a badass.
Yeah, so we'll get to
we'll get to
Selena
that.
and
But I
Mark.
love that.
So they save him. Mark doesn't last very long, and I believe Noah Huntley is his name. He does a pretty good job, and it's almost like he wanted a little bit more. Every time I rewatch this movie, I wish he was in it longer, but it's so well done and so effective that he dies so quickly, and that Selena just takes him out. Because again, it kind of just fits for the movie. That it's so unpredictable, and at any point someone could die, and it sets up the rest of the movie when we meet our other new characters that they could die at any moment. So it is effective, but I always feel so bad. I'm like, oh, Mark, damn, forget how quickly he goes.
But it also sets her up. Yeah, like she's seen some shit, so she's like, she knows she can't risk it. So she knows, like, she's showing, Jim, like, this is a real deal. You can't mess around. But I do love before that happens when Jim requests to like go to his parents' house, and I always think it's so sad that like he finds out they like killed themselves, but they left a note praying and hoping he didn't wake up. Which if that says something, that always got me. I was like, that like made me feel weird. I remember when I was a kid, I'm like, oh fuck, this is dark. But I always love that scene where it's like they like left a note saying, "I hope he doesn't wake up, so he doesn't have to see the horrors that's going on," and they killed himself. So I think it was so good to set up, and it was just his reaction. It's like, fuck.
Yeah,
I love that whole scene.
No, it's so effective and so strong and emotional. Yeah, I agree.
You feel for Jim because he just woke up and he's just like, I just want to see my family. 1 minute because you find out that he was like hit by what was it? He was hit by someone on his bike.
He's on a bicycle.
Right?
He has a bicycle career.
Yeah.
So.
And so then he was in this coma and then wakes up, everyone's gone. And he's like, I just want to see my parents. And then I think it would be different if he found them infected, but to have found them to have killed themselves out of they didn't want to deal with what was going on, which don't
And I feel
blame them,
like
but
that would
it's
have been
just
the
sad.
typical movie scenario where he goes in as infected, but I think it's smart that Danny Boyle does the opposite and they're already dead and they already chose to take themselves out without even knowing, if their son was going to come out of a coma, which that just adds to the darkness. So they're like, we can't wait. We're just done.
Yeah, I'm really happy with that they went with that choice instead of finding them like infected or anything.
Yeah,
Because
because
you
I mean, we
feel for
get
him.
that. We get
Yeah.
obviously infected people throughout the movie, but it
Right.
was cool to see that other side of things where I'm sure there was thousands of people that decided to kind of take matters into their own hands and do it that way. So it's cool that we got to see kind of that side of
Right.
something this terrible. So yeah.
And I also think it's cool that I also wish we had Mark around for longer. But I think that it's also a good choice that she didn't even give him the opportunity to turn to get infected. She took him out before that happened, which again, like you said, we see a bunch of infected. So I thought that was also special that she was like, nope, I'm not going to even get the opportunity. She just takes him out. So I thought that was also a smart filmmaking decision to have her do that to him before he even had the opportunity to turn. So
Yeah.
good. It's
Yeah.
good writing.
Yeah, so we
Very
get
good
this
writing.
big grieving moment. I mean, Jim's like daydreaming and seeing his parents in the kitchen, and then we get like a huge jump scare. I mean,
I love that jump
used
scare.
to
It's so
scare the
good.
shit out of me as a kid. Again, I
Yeah.
mean, just a massive jump scare. Thing breaks through the window or whatever, the glass door or whatever it is, and yeah, it sucks because Mark was they shouldn't even have been there. I mean, first of all, they
Right.
told
They shouldn't have
Jim
stayed
like,
there,
listen, your
yeah.
parents are dead. There's no reason to go there, but they were trying to help this guy kind of
Ease
have
him into
closure.
the yeah.
And yeah, and Mark, yeah, he gets it, saving Jim, and it like you said, Ant, it's effective that Selena killed him right away because this isn't a normal zombie movie where it takes like 5-10 minutes to turn, and it's like I believe she said
Instantaneous
like
almost.
10 or so seconds,
Yeah.
and all of a
Mhm.
sudden they're enraged already. So it just ups the stakes that much more that you need to make a decision very quickly.
And it's just so hardcore when she after that she doesn't show emotion. She just turns to him. She's like, "I'll do it to you too if I suspect that you're infected." I'm like, I'm like fell in love with her immediately. But I was like, she is not messing around, and but that's how you have to live in this world.
Mhm. Yeah, because it's like if you're gonna be bit next if you linger on it. And that's one of my biggest gripes in like zombie films is
Right.
when they're like waiting for them. No, it'll be fine. Like in was it Dawn of the Dead? In where they're just like, wait, I love Dawn of the Dead too. They just like when they're like waiting and this like keeping them like just while they're waiting to like turn, I'm like, just
Put him out
end
of
it
their misery.
already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put him
Yeah.
out. Like, why would you wait for anyone to turn? Like,
And she's also
sounds
showing him the
miserable.
way, like, this is how you have to be.
Mhm.
So she's like coaching Jim in the same moment. She's a badass. She's like the underrated. I feel like she's so underrated. I really hope that she's a sneak cameo or something in one of these movies coming up.
And of course, we don't have to deal with the whole trope of someone getting bit and then hiding it from the group and
Mm.
that whole thing
Right.
where, like we've seen that so many times. So
This feels like a literal pandemic. It doesn't feel like a zombie movie. It feels like a pandemic movie. So the choices made don't feel like your typical Hollywood cliche, which is so smart. That's why I love this one so much.
yeah, and okay, so again, it's quick hits. We get that, and then we pretty much get to the apartment scene. We see the lights, and they decide to go towards the blinking lights, which again, it's like, risk reward. You want to find more survivors, but who are you going to run into? What are you going to run into? So, I understand it though. They're kind of just like on their own and they could use like a bigger colony. So I think I probably would have done the same thing.
I was going to ask you guys, would you look for a group or would you just want to have like one other person with you? Like, how would you move forward? Would you want safety in numbers or just like your person and that's it?
I would keep moving,
Okay.
but I don't necessarily, I wouldn't be like specifically looking for like a group, but I would definitely keep moving until maybe I found something.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
staying put is definitely not the way to
It's
go.
risky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Staying put is always just risky. At least for me, I feel like when you go into groups, there's always that like you never really know what is going to happen. Like you don't know who they are and like what they could possibly like want from you. So that's always risky. It's always risky being on your own. I think like kind of going along your journey, just moving and finding your own kind of people that you can be
Right.
safe with is probably more preferred and what I would do than as opposed to going and searching for a group. But at this point, if I was Jim and Celine, like I would still kind of probably go towards the lights too, because like I'm out in the open, like there's obviously other survivors and we're down, like it's just two people and one who just woke up and is not really familiar with everything
Right.
yet.
It's so smart too that it's taken place 28 days later, because we still have, like, obviously everyone still remembers like society. It's not like we're 28 years later like we're going to get in the new movie,
Right.
which I think is going to be a very different landscape. It's 28 days. It's barely a month. So I feel like this again is realistic. Like people would still trust in strangers. You know, me and Ann have talked about the show The Walking Dead on this episode before, on this podcast before, and how, you know, that show just devolved into less about zombies and more about just different groups that are trying to kill each other. That's because they're years down the line. This is a month in,
Fresh,
so
very
we
fresh,
still, you know, we don't have that jadedness towards other humans in this scenario. So I feel like it's very realistic to kind of seek out bigger groups.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do. I'm a pessimist. So I'm like, I don't trust anybody.
So you would automatically go to that? Yeah.
No, I don't know. I don't know what I would.
Again, remember for Jim, this is day one. Too.
Right.
It's not even.
If I was
28,
Jim,
so.
I would probably be like, I gotta do what I gotta do. But if I was like Selena and that, I'm like, I'd be jaded. I'd be like, I'm pessimist. I don't know if I trust people. But if I had her by my side, I'd do whatever.
I mean, she doesn't bring it up. It doesn't seem like she's gotten backstabbed. I mean, Mark seemed like a pretty good guy, so she found him. So, yeah, it's
just a conundrum because it's like safety in numbers, but it's also like you said, Ori, it's like you don't know these people's motives at the same. Just like in real life, I guess, same thing, you know. So you don't know. Yeah, it can go either way.
I feel like more than that, it would be there's more opportunity for someone to get infected.
Right. That's
more than not trusting people. It's like if you have a group of 10 people when you encounter someone who's infected. I mean, we didn't even touch on transmission. Transmission, and this is why it only took 28 days, is like so easy. I mean, you get a drop of blood in your mouth, or as we see later on in your eye or something, you're done for. It's not, you don't have to get bitten. You don't even have to be close to any of these infected. You can walk by a structure that has blood on it. I'm sure you can get infected from that. So to your point, and the bigger the number, the more chances of an accident happening or someone getting infected, and then the whole group is at risk. So, yeah.
It's so funny, the parallels, not to the extreme level of this, but like of this and like what ended up happening in 2020. There's so many parallels.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I was convinced. I was like, this is happening.
How easy it can spread,
Yeah, it's interesting watching this movie post-COVID. Kind of, it's like a new lens. You have like a new,
It makes me
it's
appreciate
like, we were lucky.
Because again, it feels so real. Yeah, exactly. I was like, we were heading to this. But we
yeah. Okay, so we get the stairwell scene, which is pretty intense. Again, another like
well shot,
keeps you on your toes. Well shot, yeah. And we get our introduction of Frank and Hannah. What do you guys think about Frank and Hannah? I personally think that Frank, played by Brendan Gleeson, is the heart and soul of this movie.
He's a national treasure.
He is.
And I agree with you. He's
awesome.
the heart of the movie.
He's the heart of the movie. He's probably my favorite performance of the movie. I think super underrated.
Scene stealer, yeah.
Super impactful, yeah.
When what happens to him, you really feel for him. And he wants like the best for Hannah. And like when he mentions like, if something happens to me, I worry about her. Like, so it's just like you just love his character. I love his character. So
unfortunately, if you watch enough movies, though,
he's
would
doomed.
Pick up right away that he was doomed. I mean, he's the perfect character that was going to go at some point. Yeah.
So poetic, like when he's introduced, but like we'll get into it when we get there. But it is my favorite scene in the movie because that's what makes me feel the most in this movie, and it breaks my heart every time. It's probably one of the most. I would put it in like the top 25 most heartbreaking moments because it's so sad. We'll get to it when we get to it, but again, he should have got a supporting nomination, I feel like, for that scene alone. So good. Yeah, he's a scene stealer in every movie he's in, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, so their characters, Frank and Hannah, they're super resourceful. They've kind of carved out this little floor on the apartment building. They have the water buckets on the ceiling, so I guess they've been able to survive this long.
They have a system.
But they have this system, but he knows that it's not sustainable, so that's why they kind of had those blinking Christmas lights. Because he admits to Jim, I believe, that, or I think he admits to him and Selena that he can't do this alone with Hannah because they have the radio transmission and he needs help. And that's why he lured them in to try to help them. And, it's a smart play because, he's got a young daughter. I mean, what person, unless you're an absolute monster, wouldn't help this duo? So kudos to Frank for luring him in. And ultimately, he's the one who gets it. But,
Yeah.
So good.
But he got at least he got Hannah into the right hands. So far.
I'd say so, yeah. I'd say so, yep.
Yeah, she wasn't left alone. If that was his biggest fear, that she would be, left to her own devices and alone. So, he was a good dad.
Yeah, definitely left Hannah in good hands. I mean, they did let her get stoned here and there, so not the best role models, but all bets are off in this world. Yeah. The ending cracks me up every time.
Oh, yeah.
She's stoned. Yeah.
I mean, I think, like Ori said, I think the supermarket, like, there are these little character moments which differentiate this from your typical zombie, whatever. Like, the supermarket scene to me is just as exciting as an infected scene. It's so important to these characters, and that's why this movie is so special, because it's so character-driven. So I love the little moments before we get, the next big death in the movie.
Yeah, again, they're always on the move in this movie. They're always changing set pieces, and you get these little character moments. They're quick hits. The pacing is brilliant. It doesn't linger too long, and then all of a sudden we're thrust back into our next adrenaline-filled scene. So, yeah, we get the supermarket, which I think is just adorable.
So good.
You have the Frank stocking up on the booze. He keeps grabbing extra bottles.
Nice. He was like,
necessities.
It's like the one moment of levity and in the entire movie that they have.
You're right. Yes. You're right. Yeah.
But I was just waiting for someone infected to be in the supermarket when I
But
first watched that.
That's why it's so smart, because you feel good, but you're on edge because you're like, what are they gonna do? What's gonna
something's gonna happen. They're having it's too peaceful. It's too peaceful. I don't trust it.
Yeah, it's almost like the viewer, we're more paranoid than the characters are, because the characters just go in and they're not checking every single nook and cranny. They're just shopping, having a good time. You're like, guys, can we slow down a little bit?
You need to get in and get out. Stop lingering.
Yeah. Well, speaking of getting in and getting out, our next sequence is the tunnel sequence.
Oh, it's so good. I remember when I was a kid, I was obsessed with this sequence so much.
Sign Hannah up for NASCAR or F1 or whatever, because that tire change was, oh my gosh, it was so quick. Good job,
the
Hannah.
suspense of this scene is on another level. It's so good. Mm-hmm. It's so fucking good.
Hands get sweaty for Hannah, trying to do the crowbar, and I'm just I would drop it. I would be so anxious, trying to get it on.
Yeah, she's better than me. She's better than me. I would do
way
it.
better.
Oh, 100%. I would have. My hands would be shaking so much. There's no way I'd be able to do that.
I just love right as they're about to go in, Jim's this is a bad idea. This is a really bad idea. And so when they break down and they get that flat, I was just like, you should have listened to Jim. You should have listened. Yeah. It was a bad idea. But then, yeah, don't want to spoil it yet.
I forget how many different shots in this movie are so iconic. So the shot of the shadows with the zombies running down the tunnel, it's so effective. And as soon as I saw it again doing my rewatch, I was like, oh, that's so good.
I'm such a sucker for a shadow shot like that.
So many shots in this movie are ingrained in my head, and it's just, it's so... Usually a movie will have one, maybe two. There's a handful of scenes and shots in this movie that really stick with you, at least for me.
I agree 100%. And it's almost more effective than when you see them run out, you just see the shadow. You're just where are they? It's like the Jaws effect of the movie. You know what I mean? It's so good. It's so fucking
You're
good.
How close are they?
Bigger. Yeah, they're getting more distorted. It's is that the zombie? The fact that it was made over 20 years ago, so you don't have the 4K cameras, I think it adds, we didn't even talk about that, I know they're doing a
Mhm.
4K restoration, but I don't even know if I would want a 4K version of a
Yeah,
movie
they're gonna
like
keep.
this
They're gonna
because
keep. Yeah, you know what you're saying. They're gonna keep like the But yeah, I
the
agree.
graininess and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so and that's just that shadow work plays so well with that. You don't know how close they are, and then all of a sudden they come into view, and
You don't
my
know how
palms are sweaty.
many.
Yeah,
Like,
yes, you don't know how many. Yeah,
you're just like, get the tire on now.
yeah.
Like,
All of them are lifting the car by
Mhm.
hand while
It's
she's
so
changing the tire. I
good.
mean, it's so intense.
I think that they're also, if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw they're gonna do some cool filming techniques. I think the new movie, it's definitely gonna go back to the original. I think they filmed the new movie on an iPhone, so it's gonna have that
Mhm.
pretty. I believe
Okay.
I saw that they filmed it on an iPhone.
Yeah. They had like this like rig with a iPhone hooked up to this like giant
Okay.
lens.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
So
like
I
that
think we're
one
gonna get
shot.
the documentary real life feel again. You know what I mean in the new one. So they're bringing it back, but yeah, it's gonna be very hard to beat the tunnel scene.
It's
But where does that rank? So the tunnel scene. Where does that rank for you? Like in this movie, is that one of your favorite parts? Your favorite part?
It's in my top, probably my top three. Again, my favorite part is the poetic death that's coming up. We're gonna talk about in a minute, but that has to
Mhm.
be like horror wise, that might be my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
We'll get to my weakness of the movie, which is, I know it's gonna be crazy to me, but I feel like the build is awesome, but I almost feel like my least favorite part of the movie is the conclusion when you get with the military stuff. But that's why we'll get to my negatives when we get
Okay.
there. But for some reason, I always feel a little deflated, because
Really?
I
Okay.
wanted to follow the
Interesting.
select group, and then when I get to the end, I'm like, oh, it's so good, but it's not like what I was doing for the first hour, in 10 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get to that. I kind of have, I guess, a similar critique. It's not necessarily the conclusion, but
And it's not bad. I just don't
it's
feel the same
It's
as I,
right before
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't.
It changes
yeah, it
gears a
definitely-
little bit, Yeah.
It gives you a different feeling. It's like almost like a different movie than you were
Right,
watching
right.
earlier. Like it
I feel like
becomes
I'm
less
jolted
about
out of
the
it a little
infected.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
I actually personally like that. I like how it changes
Yeah.
gears. Again, it works for the characters, and it works. I think it works for me. But we'll get to that. Yeah. So, what did you want to talk about next? You wanted to get to the 42nd Brigade?
let's get to the Frank of it all. Ugh,
Yeah. So, listen.
it's so
Okay, so we
sad.
touched on it. They get the radio call. It's been broadcasting for, I guess, a while now, that there's this brigade. Come to this brigade. They get there. It's a ghost town. There's no one there. As soon as I see that, me personally, I'm like, I've seen enough. Turn the car around. Let's go. But of course, they have to stay. They have to look around, especially Frank. I mean, I get it. He's been hinging his entire plan for how many days on this hope that someone was going to save them. And when he sees that there's nothing left, I mean, I feel for him. He's almost in denial. Like he's looking at all the cars and stuff,
He's so
and they're trying to tell him,
frustrated,
like, we have to go, we have to go. And the best line of the whole movie is when Frank finally responds, he's like, we have to go. And he's like, go where? I was like, oh my God, it's so heartbreaking. Oh,
Because it's so true. Like, where are you supposed to go? Like, where is she wanting? Like that. At that point, I'm like, where are you wanting to go though? Like where are you supposed to go? Everything is gone. But yeah, no. Frank's frustration. You feel it. Like you feel for it because you just see it on him. He just feels really defeated. Kind of feel like this whole thing is pointless. All of his hope has just been ripped away from him. This like one thing he had is just gone now, and he has the fear and frustration of what's going to happen to him and Hannah, and like, yeah.
Ugh. And it's so smart how you see like the subtle crows in the background before what happens. It's like it's so good. This is my favorite scene in the whole movie, by the way. This Frank scene, Frank and Hannah scene. It gets me in the feels. It's heartbreaking. He looks up. He fucking just looks up. He looks up with the girl, and he gets, and it's so quick. He gets something. I'm like, fuck! It got in his eye, and the way it's shot, it's so good. And he just blinks down, and he immediately, and it breaks my heart because the first thing he says, he's like, Hannah, I love you very much, and then all he keeps doing is like, keep away from me. Keep her away from me. I'm like, oh, this is so bad. He's such a good dad because in his final moments, he's just still thinking about as you would, he's still thinking about his daughter, but it's just heartbreaking because she's going to him with her daughter instinct, and he, as his father instinct, is pushing her away to protect her. It just it's a master. This scene is a fucking masterpiece. It's the best part about the movie, and it's what I'm missing in the finale, the emotion. More of like, the all-out craziness. So this scene to me is just next level, and she's just screaming "Daddy!" He's just yelling, "Keep her away, keep her away, keep away from me." It's next level stuff. And again, Brendan Gleeson this scene alone, I feel like should have won him an award. But it's just so expertly acted, filmed, all of the above, scored. It gets me every time. I get like chills, tears in my eyes, all of the above. It's just out of love, but it's so heartbreaking. It's so good.
Yeah, you as a viewer, because you know he's about to turn. You see what
Right.
happens, and so you see her like approaching him, and you're just like, no, like,
Right.
but like, and you get that like, I love you, like from him, and you're
Mhm.
just like, it really does break your heart. And then you start to see his rage come on, because then he's getting frustrated with her that she's not listening to him. And so then you start to see like it start to, and you're just like, it builds that intensity, because you're like, and then Jim is just kind of like
What do I do?
not
Yeah,
not moving
yeah.
as fast. So you're just
Right,
like, you're
right.
just like, move, Jim, move, like, but you don't.
Because we're like in
It's a
shock
very-
with Jim. We're like, but his physicality
Yeah.
again, like not even just his like acting, but his physicality alone is so good. Brendan Gleeson, this scene, like
Oh,
so underrated.
his twitching
That guy does
and
not
his
get
just-
enough. Yeah, he does not get enough credit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, he doesn't. It's so good. It's my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah. No,
You see
everything you
his
guys
body.
just said, it's so emotional, and just rest in peace, Frank. And it's almost like the conclusion to that chapter, and
Yeah,
because obviously the military guys come and shoot him. We forgot to touch on the gas station scene, because I was
yeah.
about to say,
Forgot about that,
Jim didn't really. He hesitated because he's so new to this world and he doesn't really know, but he does have a kill under his belt. He did kill that little boy, which was
I love that scene. By the way,
very.
forgot.
I love how he just. Yeah, I love how Selena is like, you good? And he's like, yeah, let's go. Come on, nothing to see here.
Cillian Murphy
Yeah,
too
no,
is
that's-
very understated. His performance, it's not over. He's very understated, which again is why I love him. He's not doing too much. He's doing even
No.
less. You know what I mean?
He's like the everyday guy
yeah,
for most of this
yeah.
movie until the end, which I think is awesome when
Right.
he kind of flips that switch.
He goes
But
like
until then,
Yeah.
he's not like overly aggressive. He's not overly sympathetic and weak-minded too. He has that balance in him because maybe this is all new to him, and he hasn't experienced day zero like everyone else did, so he didn't see a lot of the horrors that everyone else did. But he's like, again, I hate to say the same thing, but we're very much feeling like Jim, and Jim is kind of the same as the viewers because we're thrust into this world at the same time. So he's just very average, and he's just a good dude, and he's just trying to kind of
right.
figure it out as he goes along. Yeah.
I almost feel like his character is running off adrenaline because of everything so new, and I also, to Cillian Murphy's credit, his performance shows that 110%. That it's just off adrenaline and instinct and like the surroundings. So he nails that. I feel like 110%.
Yeah.
Well,
And you have
he's
those.
just, yeah. He's
ahead.
just trying to go with like, well, Selena's just like already badass, like killing everyone,
Right,
and
right.
then
She's in it, yeah.
he's just. I think he's also trying to like kind of match her, like kind of like be as like as an equal to her. Like she's here, and he's trying to, and he's understanding, but he's also like, okay, well, I have to kind of step it up too, which is why I feel like we get this gas station scene with the kid, because like why like he hadn't killed anyone at this point, like
Mhm.
no one. So his first kill happens to be just like a child that has been infected.
I love that.
So it's like I don't know if it's insulting that it's a child, or if that's like more like it really took something, because that's still a
It
child.
is the child. Right.
Yeah,
right.
the
The emotional layers too. Oh, so good.
Yeah, so it's just it's a good, Jim
Oh,
is
guys, I'm bumping my score
yeah.
because we're talking about this movie. This is crazy. Every time I do this.
It's definitely one of those movies where when you watch it and you kind of think back to the movie, like in the days to come, it's just all the little things are done so right. Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree. Yeah, it's so well done.
Yeah.
All right,
Uh-huh.
so we get into the next act here where we get taken by the
So the
military men,
military.
and this is a big shift, like you said, Ant.
Yeah, yeah.
I like it. I personally
I
like it.
don't
I
not
think
like it,
again,
but
I was going back before. I was kind of saying how we get different aspects of this virus and we get to see different sides of it. I like how we were kind of just in a small group in survival mode this whole time, and now we get to see kind of an established kind of base. So it's kind of two different versions of the same
mhm.
events happening. I mean, so I don't know. I think it's well done, and I think it helps with the movie not feel as long and dragged out. If we would have gotten much of the same for 2 hours, it might have felt a little like okay, we're doing another set piece again. But I think the change in tone and the shift is not necessarily needed, but I think it's kind of like a refresh. It perks you up a little bit. It's like, okay, what's going on here? And again, the scope of scale continues to build. Now we have some military guys and we have some like real weaponry and stuff, and we got all that stuff.
I don't know, for me, when we get introduced to the military, I'm still skeptical. I'm
Right.
still
Oh
untrusting
yeah.
of them. Like when I'm just like, okay, but like what is the catch here?
Mm-hmm.
So like I feel like
Yeah.
it's another kind of like anxiety. Like first we had the infected anxiety and now we're having this like, okay, this group of military men like anxiety of like, what are they gonna do now? Like what are we about to like get into here at this like safe space? And you also feel really bad because Frank just got infected after
Oh,
being frustrated that there was no military, and then there ends up being a military that kills. It's just
Yeah. Well,
another
right off the
good
bat,
scene.
you're skeptical because you can't help but think, was that intentional? Did they wait for him to
Yeah.
get infected and then they swooped in? Were they watching him the whole time? Because now we have a very vulnerable group. We have a
Mhm.
girl, a teenage girl. We have another woman, Selena, who's very capable, but, she's still a woman. And we have this scrawny looking Jim. I mean, we don't really have the most intimidating trio. So yeah, they're in a very vulnerable position, and these guys are saying that they want to help, and they're recruiting people, and they're the ones that sent the broadcast out. But I mean, all bets are off. There's no government anymore, so you can't really trust political or military figures anymore. So yeah, it's definitely the skeptic antennas are up right away for me as well.
yeah. I think my issue is that like I love 28 Days Later because of the simplicity of following the four of them. And then when we get to the military, it's like not that it's a gimmick or a cliche but military is involved a lot of the zombie movies. And then you kind of almost switch to it's not like a Resident Evil type mansion, but it kind of is at this you're getting it's just it's whiplash to me a little bit. That's what I want to say. Like I'm still invested because of these characters, but I'm thrown into a different movie in the end. I know, and like you said, even Jim, like he goes like full crazy and all that. So I still like it and I enjoy it, but I always feel like when I know there's this turn in the movie, I almost like I'm not as invested as I was for the first, however many minutes before we get there. But I still love it. It's just like I'm like, oh, do they have to do the military thing again? But I'm cool with it. But I always have that every time I watch it, I'm like, I always feel like I don't check out, but I'm like, I feel differently about it once we get to this point for some reason. It jolts me
Yeah.
a tiny
Okay.
bit. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's really funny. Like you said, the Resident Evil house, the giant
Yeah.
lawn where they set the
Yeah.
booby traps and
Yeah.
stuff. I always think of like it's like a tower defense game, like Plants vs
That's
Zombies
what
or
it
something.
feels like a video game a little bit towards the end.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
I
want
think
the
it's
real,
really kind of
yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Again,
could
yeah.
see.
I mean, I see what you're saying. You kind of
I
want
don't
to
hate
keep
it.
it.
I'm just like, it's not
Yeah,
what I wanted from this like survival horror thriller with, this family pretty much, their family. And then you go to this kind of Resident Evil, like, showdown at the end. But I do appreciate what you said that I did immediately feel like you can't, like, do you trust these people? Are they here to help you? Or are they here to use you as test subjects? Like, what's going on? So at that part, I'm still like, this is smart. But it's just the whole, like, I like the smallness of 28 Days Later and it goes a little big at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think it rides that line because we don't have this giant colony. I believe it's like 8 or 9 men total.
Mhm.
They're all
Mhm.
kind of like part of
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
squad.
yeah, 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 yeah. I know what you're
So
saying, yeah.
again, that's another reason why to be wary. You know, they've had this broadcast out. There's no other civilians that they've found. Like, you know, so what happens
What's
like
going
to
on
other
here? Yeah.
survivors? Like, what's going on? It's just these dudes in this camo and stuff, and they're supposed to be military. Are they actually military?
Yeah,
Or are they
I
just
always
kind of cosplaying as military? Yeah, yeah. So you don't know what's going on. But no, I see what you're saying, and I think it could have gone that route, but it still stayed somewhat contained because it's not like we
Yeah.
had like this whole town or this whole settlement,
It doesn't
you
go over
know?
the top, but it does, like I said, just I feel that slight jolt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always like when I first watched it, I always questioned whether or not they were actually military because I was like, I don't know, the way that they
Yeah.
acted
But you bring up that's a
were
good point
very
you bring up. Yeah.
silly. They were, I don't know, I never really got like true military men from the way that they acted. They acted like a bunch of just like rowdy boys, just like, but it could
Yeah.
be that it's 28 days. They haven't seen anyone else. They could have just been getting stir crazy. But I always just
Yeah,
question.
I think it's a mixture of both. I think maybe the sergeant and the major were actual military guys, and maybe they just recruited these other dudes and just
Yeah.
called them, you know, gave them a camo and gave them a gun and kind of trained them. I don't know
Mhm.
if necessarily all of them were kind of these hardened military guys. So yeah, I think there is some truth to that, and I would
Mhm.
like to hear like kind of what the director's interpretation of it is because I know he's talked a lot about the lore of these movies and stuff, and he's given audiences a lot of insight into what's going on. So I'm sure he would have an opinion on this. Maybe he's said, I just don't know. But yeah, no, that is an interesting observation because you can't really take anything for granted just because they have the uniform. I mean,
Mhm.
we just saw the brigade. They could have easily swiped those uniforms and those weapons from that giant brigade and just kind of came in and just set up. I mean, the more I'm thinking about it, they weren't. I feel like they weren't even there that long because when Jim and Selena and Hannah get there, they're like just now setting up the landmines and stuff. And it's like,
Right.
wait a minute, if they've been there
Yeah.
for weeks, why is that not set up already? So yeah, the more I'm thinking about it, maybe they just like stumbled upon that place and they just kind of called themselves military. I don't know. Yeah,
Like maybe the actual brigade, like maybe it got infected or something got teared down and they just came in. Because you're right, I never actually put that to you that they're still setting up mines, but they were supposed to have been there setting. So maybe they weren't even the ones who
yeah,
set out the broadcast in general.
and the
Maybe they
lawn is
heard.
immaculate, so it's not like they've had an attack
Right, I know.
before. So like, you know, it's not like they had to reset everything. It's, you know, nothing's happened there. So yeah, that is an interesting point for sure.
But then all of a sudden they get attacked. That the moment everyone shows up, the lawn gets attacked. Their perfect
Yep.
lawn.
Yep.
Yeah.
It plays out like a video game. The finale.
Yeah.
That might be my issue. It just plays out a little like a video game. But I do like that they were observing the private. He's all. I guess they've been there. I would guess they've been there a few days because they said he's been chained up for like I forget how many days.
Couple
But
days.
they're
Yeah.
observing him, so I feel like that's how I would like the timeline aligns with that. And I love how they say all he wants to do is just feed and kill. Like he has no other interest. That's all they live for after they're infected. I do
Yeah.
like the scene of him chained up.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, see,
that's
I
where
don't
we.
know. I like this sequence and I like the introduction of these guys because again, it strikes that good balance. So we got the whole movie where we are dealing with these infected and we've met these good people and it's cool to see that there aren't all good people and that we do have to deal with
Which
these
is a
bad
fact of
people.
life, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean I feel like it's balanced pretty well. I understand how it's kind of jolting and it kind of just throws you in, but again, that's kind of what the characters are experiencing
Right.
too. So I think that is intentional whether it works for you or not.
Right. I
Yeah.
agree.
I think this is also another look where we kind of get to see what the infected is kind of about. Like 'cause at this point, we only know very little. Like we know that it was some type of virus, but we don't really know like what their motives are really. And so we're getting a little bit more information after this one is being chained up and like how long it kind of takes and like And even them, they're just trying to figure out how long it takes for them to just kind of die off. So
Yeah.
we're getting in another look that we still don't know a whole lot about what is going on.
Yeah, and then we get the big reveal. We get the reveal that he promised his men some women
Yeah.
to, I
Sex
guess,
slaves, which is I'm like, what is happening?
procreate.
It's like-
But I mean, that's just
Yeah.
like a lame excuse to they just want to take advantage of women. I mean, come on, like you're not repopulating the earth with the fucking 9 of you. So what are we really doing here? But again, that is a great way to kind of show it's only been 28 days and
Right.
these guys are already thinking that way. Shit must have really fucking happened that we did not see, you know? Because like they are like, all hope is lost. We just want to like have some pleasure before we die. I mean, because I feel like with a lot of these zombie movies, you know, you talk about Dawn of the Dead, you talk about these other movies, 28 days is not a long time. You're still kind of like in the, like, dare I say, the honeymoon phase where you think maybe this could be salvageable. But in this movie, no, it's everyone realizes that they are extremely fucked and there's no going back, which is pretty dramatic for 28 days, I must say.
I think it also
They're like-
just shows how crazy like the brain is, where like how someone could change in the snap of a finger when they're put in these kind of like heightened situations. Like they can flip. Like we're a good person, but you flip where it's like doomsday. It's like we're gonna fuck shit up and do these crazy things. It's just I feel like it's very realistic. And I will say that what I like about the ending is that these characters, or our trio, I guess at this point, they find the military and it's like hope, but then that hope is just quickly deflated. You know, their
Right.
hope is
Yeah, and
themselves,
it's,
and that's it. It's
I
not
feel like it's
the-
also a callback to what Selena was saying in the beginning of the movie when Jim was talking about, you know, we got to find the military and stuff. She's like, there is no military.
right.
We can't rely on higher authority. Like, we are it. And this is kind of a callback to that. Like, you know,
Right.
just because these guys call themselves military do not mean that they have your best interest at
And
heart.
it's so funny that when Jim sees like in the sky, he's like, oh, there might be other survivors. He's like, my hope is away from the military to go to other survivors, not here. So
Yeah.
that's the hope he sees towards the end, which I'm like, yeah, there's other outside survivors.
Yeah. Poor Sergeant Farrell. He really went down like a champ. I mean, he knew what was going on, and he tried to.
He
He
tried.
should have just started spraying and praying.
I love
and just
him.
killed all
I
of them.
love him, yeah.
Yeah.
He was,
He was
like
just
the only
outnumbered.
good guy in that group.
know.
Like the
I
rest
know.
were that, and maybe the cook, the guy who was doing the cooking.
So what did you guys? So yeah, what did you guys think about the Major? I think his name was Major West, or that's what it's
I'm
called.
so
I think
bad
he's just
with
called
that.
the Major. He plays an interesting character because he almost is like very pretentious, and you feel like he's looking down on all of these characters, like he knows what's best. And the way he tells Jim of how he promised his men, like the women, it's very just matter of fact, but you can kind of see that he's trying to like sympathize, but it's like he has no other choice. So I don't think he thinks of himself as this bad guy.
Oh,
So I think it's a very layered performance. What do you guys think?
I don't think he thinks I think he just thinks he really is kind of like above, because the way he walks into the room at the dinner, everyone is like kind of all like excited for him, cheering him on, and the way he just like walks and sits, you can already tell he thinks he is like above, and the way he's just telling Jim like, yeah, basically your women are now my men's women. Like this is just how it's going to be. I promise them. Like I don't like him. He's scummy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
Definitely
agree
that
100%.
holier than thou kind of
Yeah.
mentality. Like, I'm the authority, you know, just kind of, who knows if he was like that before, like you said, Ann, who knows how
Right.
the pandemic changed him, but he was thrust into this leadership position and just, it totally went to his head for sure, yeah. I mean, he thinks he's trying to, like, you know, even with the infected guy that's chained up, it's like, really, man, you're gonna fucking solve this thing? Like, you're not a scientist. You don't know what the fuck. Like, what's
No, I agree. He's pathetic because now that he's dealing with a small, like he's not dealing with anything pre-infection. He's like, oh, there's a smaller group that I could control and manipulate.
Mhm.
So I feel like it's just a showcase of how pathetic people are when they think they can control a small group when there's heightened scenarios. So it just shows his character 110%.
Yeah. He gets it pretty good too.
I love
by the
it.
end. I love his death.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so great. Yeah. So let's get to the climax, I guess, of the movie. So they bring Jim, then Jim escapes. That was a pretty cool sequence. And this is kind of where the first
Jim turns.
first hour and a half of the movie kind of pays off, where Jim was exposed to the elements. He was exposed to kind of surviving in that smaller group. And I think that lends itself well to this. And he's able to kind of get the jump on all of these guys who maybe didn't survive in the wild. They were just kind of cooped up the whole time and didn't really have to experience all of that he had to experience.
Jim turns into a non-infected infected in the finale, which is
Yes.
so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a good symbolism though, I think,
It
because
is.
like all of they're not really like the undead. They're basically just full of rage. They're they're
Mhm.
not they're just infected with more like what we already have is than like natural rage
It's all in
inside.
here.
And he
We
just
all have it, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We all
Yeah.
have it. They're just, it's just they're to the forefront for the infected. But with Jim, he just like channels that like and goes like ballistic, which
You're
is,
right.
perfect full circle moment, I think, is just
Symbolism galore. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah, you're right. And I forget what character says that line. They're like, how is this any different than the real world? People kill people all the time in the real world. People have rage.
I love that line.
You know,
I
it's
love
I love that.
dialogue.
I forget who says that.
I love the
what
dialogue of
conversation it
that.
is.
Yeah.
Was that the major who says
I thought
that?
I think it's the mate.
Yeah, was he talking
Yeah, I
to
think
James?
the
Who
major.
I
said
can't remember
that?
the exchange right there. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
it's
it was
so
that was a good
good.
exchange.
Oh.
Yeah. So no, you're right, Ori. The way he's turns himself kind of into the monster that they're all fighting off is just so full circle. It's so brilliant. It's so cool. I know it's kind of goes into like that, maybe like unrealistic video game territory, but I think
Yeah,
it's
that's
still
one thing,
kind
yeah.
of honed in enough to where I'm just cheering at the screen. I'm standing up, I'm clapping, and I'm just having a good time with it.
You especially because you don't expect it from Jim at this point. Like he hasn't really
Yeah.
shown a whole lot of like I am like gonna take charge, like I'm gonna handle this, and so it
No.
finally you get that like satisfaction of like okay, Jim is like ready, like he's here for it.
Yes. You're right, because you even said it before. Jim has never been the leader in this movie. He was following Selena this entire time. She was the kind of alpha of the
Protector.
group, the protector, and he was kind of just trying to live up to her and her badassery. And even when he's trying to protect Selena and Hannah, he gets beat down instantly. So he's not very physical. He's not like this big macho man. So yeah, up until this point, he's just, not really strong, and then all of a sudden he just, like you said, something switches in him and he gets this instinct to protect the people he cares about, and it's cool. It's a pump your fist moment, and
Oh, yeah.
I think it's really cool. And I know, Ant, you like your dark and gloomy endings, and you like
Yeah.
your you like your death.
It's
and
just
despair,
so
but
joke because
I
this
like how
movie
this
is
ends.
dark and like
Yeah.
mean until it retains that in the finale. But I can't help. I'm like, why do I feel like I'm being thrown into a different kind of movie? But I like it.
Yeah, so
That
he
was
starts
good.
kind of stalking the group and just picking them off, and oh, it's so cool.
He goes fucking
So
Rambo
cool.
in the finale. Honestly.
Yeah. He goes Rambo, but it's not full on like him versus 9 guys. He uses again the elements, and he uses the already infected to his advantage. He's very resourceful.
Yeah.
It kind of he's kind of stays true to his character. It's not like all of a sudden he becomes this like roided out freak who's like beating the shit out of 9 guys at once. So I think it was done really well.
And he doesn't switch to that mindset until he's like, there's no hope, like being with this crew. Like he doesn't like
Yeah.
he takes his time to the realization like this is no better. Like I'm better with just my 3, and then he leaves. So it's not like a whole like Rambo, like over the top, but it's natural. But I'm just like, what the fuck? It does feel like a video game.
And I love the subtleness of the fact that So when this whole thing starts, he sounds the air raid horn
So
at the
good.
brigade. So most of the crew go to investigate, and they know shit's about to hit the fan. But I love how the director added this. They still made Hannah and Selena get dressed up in the dresses, like after the fact. And I thought that was so just like, really? Like they're
I
so
don't like that at all.
the hubris of them. Like they just think that everything's gonna work out and they're gonna come back and they're gonna like take advantage of these women. I don't know. That just kind of rubbed me the wrong way when I saw them in the dresses after all that's going down. I was like, oh man, these
They're
guys
like, it's
are just-
handled,
they
it's
need to-
fine. It's good.
Yeah,
We got nothing to worry about.
I know.
Little do you know.
Yeah. So yeah, Jim just kind of goes apeshit, and like I said, the Major's death, Hannah.
mean, he goes
Stone
ape
Hannah.
shit to the point where even Selena's like, yo. Like, are
Yes.
you affected? You know what I mean?
Yeah, again, yeah, I wanted to talk. I'm glad you brought that up. So he's fighting that guy, and Selena is ready to kill him. She's ready to kind of go after him, and then I forget what it is that kind of jolts her. Does he like say? I think he says a line to her that makes her realize that it's still Jim.
I forget what he
then-
exactly says, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
but she
then-
kisses him after, and it's all relief. You know, yeah.
And then Hannah comes in, and then Hannah thinks that he's infected.
Yeah.
And she hits him over the head. Yeah.
It's a little comedic moment there after all of the intensity.
I love after all this, and then you cut to another 28 days later. It ends on a very high note, like after the whole
Yes.
military stuff.
Yeah, again, so you get Hannah driving the car. So she
She's a fucking
drives
boss
away
driver, man.
with the Major in the back seat. You're like, what the fuck is she doing? Is she like that stoned? Does she think she's on his side? Like, what's going on right now? Is she leaving her friends in the dust? But no, she reverses the car, and the infected guy just bursts through the back window and just kills the Major, and then she speeds
It's
off.
so
Oh,
good.
It's so well done, yeah.
Especially for the way that he like initially we were introduced to the infected and how he chained it up and the way the Major is just acting like, yeah, we're just gonna see how like it goes, like it's just disrespectful. Like it's just full of satisfying watching him just get eaten.
Yeah, again,
Or just-
disrespectful. Like they think that they have it all figured out. Like he even says when they first arrive, he's like, "Don't worry, you're safe with us." It's like, really? Can you make those promises? I mean, come on.
You're like, no,
Yeah.
I think I was safer outside.
Yeah, definitely. So then we get our happy ending. We get our
Maybe.
yeah, maybe. I mean, you get the cottage. They're like in this.
He's
this
recovering
nice
because he was shot and all that.
countryside.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe it jumps to another 28 days.
Yeah, it does. 28 days
Correct.
later.
So
Yeah, which I
28
fucking
days
love.
later again,
Yeah.
which is cool. Very obviously full circle. And yeah, they're kind of just hanging on. And I love how they make the giant sign.
The banner with saying hello.
But it doesn't say help. It says hello. So it's I how do you guys interpret that?
I feel like they aren't like that's home base for them. Like I feel like for them they're no longer moving, like that's where they plan and they're just welcoming in because they don't want it to be like another like the military situation where that kind of group like they want to welcome in like
I
good
agree. I think
people.
they're also looking for like outside survivors to welcome into their crew, and I think the hello is them accepting like this is a way of life versus a help or like call for help. I think this is just they're accepting this as the reality. And I do love when the jet and like flies by and then Jim goes, or Selena asks Jim, he's like, do you think he saw us this time? And he just like looks off smiling. It's just like,
Yeah. Because to me, it doesn't matter.
Right.
To
That's
me,
what I
the
think he's just
hello
like,
is them just kind of reaching out so they're not isolated, but it's not a call for help because they would say help.
Right.
Like they're fine where they're at. They carved this little life for themselves over the last 28 days, and they're just reaching out to other survivors to let them know, to say hi, to say,
right.
We don't need help. We're
you're
kind
not
of
alone,
doing our own
and
thing.
you're not the only ones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think it was pretty cool to kind of. It's kind
I
of like
adore
it's acceptance
that
in a
final
way.
shot. Yeah, I do like the ending. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you like the
I
happy
like
ending?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Because it's not even happy. It's just almost like an acceptance. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
I mean, they made it.
I would call it. I mean, under the circumstances, I would call that
right. Scenario,
you can expect.
Of course.
Yeah.
And spoilers, but apparently we will be seeing at least Killian again at some point in this, sequel
Not as a
trilogy,
zombie.
whatever they're doing. But so it's going to be interesting to see what he looks like now, 28 years later, like what his life's like 28 years later, and what condition he's in. I'm excited.
I imagine Jim being super badass, like just
either super badass or super run down or something.
Maybe.
He's super something.
Yeah.
Super. Yeah, I know. They totally they knew what they were doing when they put in the 28 years trailer when they put the zombie that looked just like him.
Yeah, but it's
not him. It's not him, and I was like, all right, but I guess it's a different actor.
You gotta watch the trailer, dude. It's so good.
It's
only the first one. I haven't watched the newest one, but it's so.
It gets me so pumped. It makes me so excited.
I got chills from that trailer. Have you guys seen the movie Sunshine? Danny Boyle movie?
No, I
haven't.
Have to
cover it. All right, we'll have to watch.
I don't know.
It's a Danny Boyle and Alex Garland again, and Cillian Murphy story. It's like Cillian Murphy, like Chris Evans, Rose Byrne, but it's like a science fiction movie, and then it just like turns into a fucking slasher movie, and I fucking love it.
Yeah, I kind of know what you're talking about. I don't know if I've seen it. I do.
I have it. I haven't watched it in a decade, but Danny Boyle's the man.
Train Spotting too. Danny Boyle, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's another cult classic.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll have to cover. You guys will fucking love Sunshine, and I don't like science fiction, sci-fi, and I fucking love Sunshine. So we have to cover that on this. But I'm happy we talked about this.
That was 28 days later. We made it. We got through it. I thought that was a really good discussion. That was fun. Let's get into our never split up moments.
Oh fuck.
All
right. Well, you guys go. You guys go first. I don't know.
Okay. Well. Ori, do you have a moment off the top of your head, or do you need a minute? Do you want someone else to go first?
Someone else. I mean, well, the one the one is the church scene. The going in, I just like and seeing everything. I would have just left. Wouldn't have said anything I wouldn't have said hello. I wouldn't have made a sound. I would have just quietly left because that scene alone just was enough for me to be like, no, okay, I'm good. I'm peacing out here. I've seen enough. So that would be my.
I like that one. I like that one. What's yours, Nolan?
Yeah, I think that's a good one too. Okay, I have a couple. I think I'm gonna go with the one I brought up earlier. When they get to the brigade, I think they should have just left immediately. I get it. Again, I get why Frank is in denial, but it's just the classic never split up moment where you're screaming at the TV for them to just get out because nothing good is going to come from hanging around. And obviously Frank gets it, and that's the most heartbreaking part of the movie. But yeah, I'm going to go with that. They should have not lingered, and they shouldn't even have gotten out of the car. That would be my moment. They should have, if Frank wanted to kind of investigate further, he could have driven around a little bit more, but keep going. Keep staying on the move.
I don't know why you would get out of the car in general in the apocalypse. I'm staying in the car.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go and look around unless I am fully armed.
I like that moment. I'm going to go with the opening just because I feel like it would be me. I would do the never split up moment with the activist. I feel like, because it's such a battle of your heart and brain. I feel like I get what the activists are doing, but it's you literally caused this to happen. So I'm going to go with that they, try to set them free rather than just putting them out of their misery, because I feel like I would be put in that scenario. I don't know what choice I would make because I'm such a, I like my animals, but it's just what are you doing? What are you doing? There's facts. There's you know what I mean?
It's extra heartbreaking because it's not like she opens the pen at the same time. The scientist gives them a good warning. They're like, what? And they are infected, but it's almost like they didn't believe him. In a way,
it's you have the facts and you're just in denial because you're these supreme, super activists, and I'm just I get you, but what are you doing?
That is a good moment because especially for me, because I'm someone who would, if I'm presented with new information, I would kind of take a beat and say, wait a minute, okay,
all right,
we need to reassess. But no, the stupid girl just opens up and
I get it, she's on a
the
mission,
kid
but it's like you
attacks her, not
literally.
even- What did you think was going to happen? Like it was.
But
gonna
they
give her a
told
big
you
hug and
exactly
they were-
what would happen, and it happened.
He said, "Don't open it up. They are infected." And you, what do you do? Like, yeah, no, she
Even just self-preservation. Like,
I know.
why would you do that? Yeah.
like, what are you infected with? Like,
Well,
you don't
maybe
know if
take
it's
a
like
few minutes
airborne.
and like think it over, but it's just so instantaneous. I'm like, no.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I
All right,
think-
those are 3 good moments. Yeah.
No, I
Yeah,
think
go ahead.
that the reason that they rushed though, because didn't the scientists call? So they were like, "Oh, we have
Yeah,
to get it
they
done,"
did.
that,
Yeah,
and
they did.
that's why we get
Yeah.
into this scenario of where she's opening and just like, "But what are you doing? Like, you don't. You're so. What doesn't matter? Maybe it's not rage, but what if they're infected with another disease? They're gonna pass on. Like,
Right.
you're just gonna set them free into the wild. Like, yeah, I'm here for their cause. I'm here for it, but it's
I love it,
frustrating.
I'm not saying I want it because that's what makes this franchise brilliant, but I would love to kind of see like a prequel of what happens after that scene. I'm not saying it's a good idea. I don't really want it to happen, but I do want it to happen because there's so much that must have went down. Like, kind of like, you know, when we got the Quiet Place movie, the new Day Zero movie. One of those would be fascinating. I don't know if it would be necessary, but it would be fascinating
Right.
to kind of finally go back and see. And maybe we'll get some flashbacks.
I'm just
in
so
these
happy
new
that
movies.
we
Maybe
this
they'll
like
give us.
it's moving forward and like we're getting.
Yeah,
I'm so
yeah.
fucking happy.
Maybe they'll give us little flashback Easter eggs. What happened? You never know. So we'll see. We got 2 more movies, so a lot to cover. Okay, let's get into our scores. Those are 3 good moments, and everyone can go on our social media and vote for their favorite moment that they agree with more. And yeah, who wants to go first for our scores?
Oh, whatever you guys want. Do you want me
And
to
you go. You
Yeah,
went
okay.
last, so you
Okay.
get to go first now for the score.
I forgot how much I adored this movie when I went back to rewatch it, and it pleasantly surprised me. My only downfall again is like I love it, and then it's like kind of goes like into like, you know, like I said, like typical video game territory, you know, military vibes, but it recovers itself at the very end. I was gonna initially give it in the high 7s, but I think I'm gonna give it an 8 because of how real it feels and how amped it gets me. Even though on a rewatch where I know what's gonna happen, it still gets my adrenaline going. The acting's great, the character moments are great. It breaks my heart. It's just a different kind of, you know, zombie infected movie because it's not worried about the big set pieces, just worried about the character moments. And it's a movie that it's a character-driven movie with an outbreak attached to it. It's not an outbreak movie with characters thrown into it, which is important to me.
Yeah.
So, it's an 8. It's an 8. It's awesome. It's very good. I love it. I don't think it's as rewatchable as a sequel, but I think it's more important than the sequel. So I'm giving it an 8.
Okay. 8. Okay. I guess I'll go next. We'll save Ori for last. I think this movie just hits everything. All the beats of this movie just work for me. There's like we talked about, the cinematography, the acting, the score, everything just works. The pacing is brilliant. I think the switch up is good. I think it's effective. This movie is rewatchable. I said I kind of haven't rewatched it in a while, but rewatching this again for the first time in a while, I remembered why I watched it so much as a kid, because it isn't action packed, but there's something about the formula, like you said, Ori, in the beginning of this episode, the way it's directed, and not a lot is happening, but you're so drawn in to this world and these characters that you're just like hanging on every word, hanging on every moment, waiting for something to happen. And even though you've seen this movie dozens of times and you know what's going to happen, you're just sucked right back in. So I think this is a unique movie where it's not action packed, and usually that creates a less rewatchable movie. But I'm going to disagree and say it is rewatchable. For me, it's got to be in the 9s. I'm going to give it a 9.3.
That might be one of your highest scores
it's
on this
fucking good. Yeah,
podcast.
It's all-timer territory for me. It's so good. So much nostalgia too that goes into it. I know that might be a little biased, but
23 years old.
Yeah, I just growing up watching this movie, knowing how many times I've seen this movie, and it still affects me to this day. You know, I'm in my 30s and it still kind of hits those same beats. It's an all-timer for sure.
Yeah. All right. So for me, this is one that I I actually own it on VHS, so I always put it
Oh,
on in the
hell
background
yeah.
when I'm watching it, and I still catch myself at certain scenes just like there's like this
Yeah.
whole like trend, like I was like trying to clean and then I'm like and then they're cleaning and they're like but getting drawn in. That's me watching this film. So it's just for me, I love it for so many reasons. I love the story. I love how it makes me feel. Like even if it makes me feel anxious, it just I love that adrenaline feeling that this film gives me. And I love that it's not super cliche like or someone's bitten and then we're like the undead and they're slow moving. Like you get something different with this film. And it's something that like at that point wasn't it wasn't really done at this point, and I love how realistic it is. Like realistic horror for me is the horror that makes me anxious. It's the one that I really just get so drawn to and that truly like terrify me. But this is also a fun one to for me. As gloomy and dark it is a fun one for me to watch because we do get to see Jim and Selena and these characters that just are she's a complete badass, and then you have Hannah who's another badass, and so you have all of these characters that it's a great film, and for me it is a perfect 10. I It is one of my highly rated
Woo! I
films.
love
Like
that.
I love it. I think it's everything about it. The score, the film, and the way that it's shot. And yeah, we get the switch up with the military, but I don't know how they would have ended this film. Like what things were supposed to happen, and how different how I would have ended it. And I think the choice to do like, oh, you found salvation and now it's actually not salvation. You're getting thrown into another type of icky scenario with the men like trying to, take the women. It's just for me I love the writing. I love what they did and I love Danny Boyle and his masterful mind. But yeah, this is just and then Cillian Murphy, it's like one of my
So
favorite
good.
films with him in it. He's just,
Yeah.
I love him as Jim and I get attached to his character because of just how he wakes up in this world and it's just brand new and how he has to learn just the rest of us and how you watch someone's character grow from how they were like started until what he ends up being. And it's just, yeah, no, it's a perfect 10 for me.
So we all have 10s on the podcast now together. We've all given movies 10s on that we've covered. Hell yeah.
I think the one word that sticks out to me when I hear you talk about this, Ori, is balance. This movie is so well balanced
Mhm.
between the infected and the living, between the emotional beats and the action. It's just so tight and so well balanced. And it's that special formula that just keeps you hooked the whole runtime. So,
And it's a good
okay, great.
story. Yeah, it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
good story. It's like even if you didn't have the infecting, you kind of replace them with like, something it's a good story.
Yeah, I can't wait to see where Jim is 28 years later. I
I'm
mean,
so
I cannot
excited.
wait.
he's one of the great final boys in movies and horror. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it's gonna be.
I
It's gonna
can't
be a
wait
lot
to
of
cover
fun.
the sequel with you guys and see how we feel about that.
Dude.
Yes.
What if we hate it? Oh, that's my worst. That's like my
Well,
biggest
this
fear.
was a good discussion. So
Yeah.
we had Ant was in the 8s, I was low 9s, and then Ori, you're perfect 10 out of 10. So
Mhm.
that was kind of we covered, the
All the
spectrum
bases,
of
yeah.
how much we liked this movie. So we'll see what we get with the sequel. We'll come out with
Right.
that in probably the coming weeks before.
Yeah, I want to
the
see what your guys'
release
score
of
is
the
for
new
that.
movie.
Yeah.
So listen for that and look out for that. Again, follow us on Twitter and Instagram and subscribe on YouTube and give us a like and comment and give us ratings. They help on the podcast side. And thanks so much, guys, for listening. And thank you again, Oriana. And do you want to just give a shout out to your channels? I forgot to
yeah.
do that in the beginning,
Oh,
but yeah, just where can people find you?
Oh yeah, I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter under Oriana Nichelle. I also might have an Instagram specifically for horror reviews under the Horror Catacombs. I also
So good.
have the letterbox. I'm always creating weekly lists for new horror movies coming out and monthly lists of where you can watch them so you don't have to go digging because it's a lot of work. I think I researched like 7 or 8 different blogs and constantly like every like different emails and to curate this list. So a lot of love and stuff goes into, just looking for new horror movies that release this week. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome channels. Definitely give her a follow, guys, if you don't already. And thanks again for coming on. We can't wait to have you again for
I'm
28
stoked.
weeks later.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm so
Until
excited
then,
about it.
Thanks for listening, guys. We have our Final Destination episodes coming up, so that's going to be biggies. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.